guys, my name is Leslie Al and I'm one of Hillary's new reps, and I just wanted to hop on and show you a quick tutorial on how I make hot mess head wraps. I'm going to use a lot of Hillary's bullet strips. They are really great for this, so go ahead and watch. Okay, so what I am using here is I have some of Hillary's bullet strips that you can buy, and these are all on her site, and she gets new ones all the time. So I'm going to start with a red, a black, a white, and I'm also using this brushstroke cow print one that I have from her. I'm going to start by cutting out 10 of these strips, okay? So I just have my rotary cutter here and a self-healing mat, and I've already started by cutting out 2 that are in the cow print, and I am going to do the same with the others. So you can see just measurement wise, so you can see how big I make them. Oops, this is the strip way. So this is how the strip comes, and then I just cut it at 5 inches there. So these are just 5 inches. Okay, so I've already cut 2. I'm going to move those off to the side, and I am going to cut 2 of the red. And I just line it up, and then I go to my 5-inch mark and I put my ruler there to use as a guide, and I use my rotary cutter and just cut along there. Make sure you have a nice clean cut. Okay, I'm going to slide it down and do it again. You want to make sure your edges are nice and clean, because on this type of bow, they are, you know, they just are out. So you want to make sure you push firmly so you don't have any, you know, like shreds. Okay, so there's a second red one. I'm going to move over to the black. And the other thing is, sometimes when you get these strips, you want to look at the edges, because sometimes the edges are the edge of the material. So I like to cut those like little fray edges off. So that's what I'm going to do with this particular one. I had already done that with the red one before I started taping. So I'm just going to kind of put that down to the end and line it up, and then cut that part off, because you don't want that at the edge of your bow. Again, just make sure you're pushing firmly. And we'll put that to the side, and then I'm going to come back and do 2 of the red ones. 2 of the black ones here. Okay, and again, just make these 5 inches for the bow. Put my ruler down, nice firm cut. Okay, slide it down, do it again. Okay, and I'm going to go to white now. So I have some of all the colors. And again, you can see this white one has more of that frayed edge, and you can just, that's just the edge of the material. All material comes that way. So you just want to make sure you cut that edge off. Yep, I didn't cut that one. So sometimes if I do that, I try to go back and straighten out. Oh, that is cut off, so that one is good. I thought it was still kind of stuck on. Okay, so now we're going to cut 2 of that one. So again, you just want to make sure it's lined up straight. I go to my 5-inch mark, I put my ruler down, and I like a nice heavy ruler so you can really push. And make sure you, when you use your rotary, make sure you use a nice sharp blade. I probably need to change mine. And see right there, it's still didn't cut through, so just go back over carefully. Sometimes if you give it a pull, it comes loose like that. Okay, so I have one white done, and I usually shoot for 10 of these. I'm gonna try it this time with 8. I think just because that's the colors I have that match, and I usually do 2 squares in each color, and you'll see why here in a second. So as you can see, I have all of my strips laid out here. I have the cow print, the red, the black, and then I have my white strips over here on the end, almost off the screen. Now you can see mine aren't perfect. I just went with how the strips came, and then I cut them 5-inch across. So you can see the cow print one is a little taller than the red. That won't matter in the end. So you don't have to waste time doing that. But I'm gonna slide these over a little bit so you can see this cow print one a little better. And for this next step, you will need these, and you will also need these little rubber bands. Okay, now those of you that have already been doing the bullet bows, you know that you kind of just fold the material. I always say I give it 1 fold for every inch. So since this is 5 inches, I try to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in one bow. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I hold it, and you kind of go right up into the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and you just kind of hold it in the middle. I like to take my fingers and put them around it, so I'm holding it like that, so it just looks like one big piece. Now, don't worry so much like it's not lining up straight. Don't worry so much about that now. We can kind of straighten that out in the end, okay? I mean, you can, you know, some people will start pulling that through now, but you don't have to worry about that right now. Okay, we're going to do the same with the red. So 1, 2, oops, 3, 4, and 5, and then we just go right up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and about 5. And it doesn't have to be perfect. What I'm doing is I'm just taking that and I'm putting it right on top of this one. Okay, and when you put it on top, I do try to kind of center it with the bottom one, but it's, you know, if it's not exact, it's okay. Okay, and then go to the black. We're going to do the same thing. Now this is where it gets tricky because obviously you're holding this, so now we're kind of one-handed. The other thing you can do is some ladies put a clamp on it. I just find it easier to hold it because I like to play with it then and straighten it out and make sure it lines up. Okay, so now I have my next 2 black ones, and I'm going to do the same thing. 1, 2, oops, this one's not folding quite as easily for me. 3, 4, and 5. Go right up to this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to put that right on top. Okay, and I have 2 white ones to do yet. And you can change the order. The nice thing is you can change the order of these colors if you want a different color, you know, next to in a different order. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, oops, start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, and you know what? I did 4 on that one. If you don't get 5 in, that's okay. It still works out. I don't usually redo if I only get it 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, that one I messed up a little bit. Okay, and you do want to try to get those pleats in there. Okay, and that goes on the top. Okay, so at this point, you have them all kind of in your hand, and you want to take your hair rubber band and stretch it around. Depending what type of rubber band you're using, you can sometimes do twice around. I usually try twice, but sometimes my rubber bands are too small for twice. So I'm going to try twice this time, and if it doesn't stretch that far, then we'll just do once. And I just use these hair rubber bands, which are great for this. Okay, so I'm just trying to maneuver that rubber band around to the middle. Okay, so now I have it in the middle, and you'll see it's kind of all together now, and you really just want to go back and make sure this is in the middle. Make sure your rubber band's in the middle. I also try now, see how they don't always line up. Remember I told you that would happen. You can just kind of tug on that bottom layer, make sure they're lined up the way you want. This one I'm going to pull out a little bit. Flip it over. This white one, see, is still stuck. Pull that out. This red one I caught on the bottom, lost my pleat, so sometimes I'll go back and just kind of try to add a pleat in there so it's more bow-like. Oops, that red one kind of got wrapped all around, didn't it? Okay, so once you get it the way that you like, and it does take some practice, so once you get it the way that you like it, and you think it's kind of even, I just kind of fidget around with it a little bit until I like it. And I usually make sure, like on the top especially, a couple things that I look for. One is that my bow is even, so like sometimes I'll pull these tails out and see this one's longer, so I try to give that one, make sure it's in the middle. Sometimes I'll use my ruler and kind of go across. There's a 5-inch bow. It's kind of, rubber band is right at 2.5, so that's pretty close to the middle. You do want to ensure that it is in the middle, and again you can kind of go back and work on any of those layers that you want, so you can see all those layers that you're going to be able to see in the bow. This black one needs to come up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to pull that black one out. He's not quite as long on this side as the red one underneath, so I'm going to play with him a little, you know, get him the best you can. Okay, so depending on what size you get, then I use, I just have handmade some cardboard bow boards that I use, and so I am today going to make a bow board. This is what I use for my bow board. It's a 1 to 2 year old, what I call a 1 to 2 year old size, and it's cut so that it's 7.5 inch, so it'll make a 15-inch bow. And so now I go back to that strip, and I'm going to use the bow board, and I'm going to start by wrapping it around my strip, my board here. And so you will take it and crisscross, and this one pull underneath, and then I just kind of pull it tight. You do want to make sure you leave some on each end, because in the end what we'll be doing is taking both of these and wrapping it around, as well as this will leave one final layer on the top. Okay, so you don't want to do it, some people will do it really short and then be like, oh no, I didn't leave enough. So I tend to leave extra. In fact, I'm gonna loosen this up and leave a little extra just because I want to make sure I don't have to run out. I'm going to move it over some more. I'm going to do this again. Again, I just crisscross, I pull. Okay, so there we have it, and I just make sure I pull it tight. It doesn't have to be super tight, but you want to make sure you're not as tight there. Okay, and then I take this whole bundle, I make sure my back of it is kind of flat, and I line it up. And these, I usually, because they're going to go around and tie in the front, I try to keep them out like this. And then what I'll do is kind of fold them in to get that nice print on the outside. And sometimes I fold them in a couple times till I get a nice fold ready. And then I'll do the same with the bottom. Try to make sure they're about the same type of fold here. It's getting bunched up. Okay, so then we put this. Again, you want to make sure when you put it on, make sure that bottom layer is kind of flattened out. And then you want to make sure you have your separation here, and you're just going to pull your two strips, make sure they're separated, and I just kind of pull them up, and you're going to do just one loop under with one of them. You want to pull it tight, and then I go back and kind of make sure the bottom of my bow is still pulled tight, and then I'll pull that again. Okay, I usually put them to the side then and just make sure everything underneath is still kind of fluffed the way I like it. And then I remember that these are going to come out. Okay, so these are going to come out, and so what I do is then I open those up. Okay, and then I try to make them the same length as the bows I already have cut. Okay, so I am making these, and you want to make sure you have a nice clean cut. Some people use scissors and then go back and clean it. I get a cleaner straight cut when I use my rotary blade. So I tend to take it off, and well, not take it off. I kind of slide my cutting mat up under, and I kind of look and see like it needs to be about here, and so I will slide my rotary blade up under, my mat up under, and then I'll use my rotary blade here and my ruler just to make sure I am getting a nice cut. Actually, this time I think I'm gonna do it without the ruler. And you can always, like if you don't cut it right, you can always trim it. I'm just gonna pull it out and do a nice cut here. And again, you want to make sure, this is the part I am not a pro at this part yet. I've been making these for about a month now, but this is not my forte yet. Okay, so right about at that cow print. And it's best if you're not sure, like I usually go a little bit bigger than what I think, and then if I need to go back and trim it, I can go back and trim it. Okay, so and you can see that time with my rotary cutter, I didn't cut it quite short enough. So sometimes I will go back just with the scissors, and you just want to get a clean cut. Make sure you have nice sharp scissors. I'm going to try to line it up here. Underneath, it looks like I need to be about there, lengthwise. And just make sure, clean, straight cut. You don't want any frayed edges. And then I take that, and just like the bow, I kind of pull it out. And that one, I probably cut a little too short. So with your first one, the nice thing is you can kind of just pull it over a little more. Open it up. I usually tend to make sure it opens up, so that's the pretty layer you can see. Then we can do the same thing with this side. Okay, so I kind of look, and I'm going to try probably to cut this one a little longer because I don't want to mess up and then find that it doesn't work. Sometimes I do, since I already have it kind of folded, I will like fold it over and cut too, but then I found that my scissors, it does not always a nice straight cut. Actually, that time doesn't look too bad. Okay, so again, I'm going to give it a little tug. I'll try to open it up a little. Okay, and I'll take my board out. Get rid of this so you can see it better. Now, at this point, again, you can kind of fluff it the way you want. Okay, and I like to kind of go back and play around with these and make sure they are where you want them. I do tend to use a little hot glue, which I don't think I'm going to show in the video today, but here's where I hot glue it. Once I get this top layer where I want, I tend to put a little dab of hot glue just to keep it open in between the top two layers. Okay, and I do the same on this side, so I put a little dab of glue on there. Okay, and then I also squeeze my glue gun in the crease here and put a little dab of glue just to make sure it's not going to come apart, just for some added security there. But that is it. And look, some people like to kind of fluff this up a little more, but basically it's just you can, you know, some people like, I like to kind of keep it open like a bow, some people don't. So thank you for joining and watching my video today. That completes the Hot Mess head wrap. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below and I'll be happy to answer them. It just takes a lot of practice. I feel like these are a little more difficult than just the regular head wrap. My regular head wrap, I don't use, I completely knot mine in one big long strip because a lot of my customers prefer that. So if you want me to show you that at some point, I will too. Thank you.